On the Orbit 151. Let's see how it does in ice. Holds well. That one no good. The Slush Lasher, no. The Orbit, yes. So here I am looking at the United Orbit with the slimy nose and a happy face, because this is a really fun board. It really did a good job. I thought 51 might be too small, but the specs are right enough. You know, right now I'm at about 185, and you can see, let me back this up a little bit. You can see it's got a nice, like, medium stiff flex, but it rides bigger than its 151. And before I'm here at Mount Bachelor, and I went to the Mount Bachelor shop and demoed this. So that was pretty cool that they had this in stock, because I couldn't get it from United Shapes. So it shows that they have a pretty good shop there, and they have a nice selection of boards that are very good. And I'm super impressed with this Orbit. I had more fun than I did on the Orbit than I did with, what was it yesterday I rode? The Deep Reach. And I found that this flex kind of fits that typical freeride profile without being like unforgiving and painful on your body. It you know, it can power through chunder really well for a 51, and it can bomb, and it can turn, but it can still weave in and out of the trees pretty well. And you can see it's got, you know, a nice directional rocker going with the taper. It looks like a little bit of early rise on the tail, which is okay to butter up on the tail a little bit, but not much. It's pretty stiff. It was hard for me to do so, especially with the Atlas bindings I had on. And then you can see that little bit of early rise in the nose, and it makes for a great, not just a powder board. It's a shorty, and it's kind of a fatty, but it's not a super fatty, and it's got, but it just rides and feels bigger than its size. It's got a pretty wide nose and a reasonably middle-ish tail in relation to the waist. And check the specs below and you can kind of see, but it really worked well with my size 9 boots. And you can see there's minimal overhang, even using the toe ramps halfway out. And you can see on the heel side here too, there's some space. So the only real problem I had today was the Adidas Samba that I'm riding. They're real soft, freestyle oriented boots, and so they really weren't turning this thing like I wish they would with my tactical ADVs, or like riding like Burton Imperial, or you know, like Ride Insanos, or some boot like that that's a little more stiff flexing, a little more medium stiff flexing. You know, that would be way more ideal for this setup. And that was the one awkward part. I didn't feel like I was really understanding the turn initiation as well as I'd like with these kind of boots. They're lacking in a couple, you know, they're lacking in a couple flex points from doing this. So still, even with these boots, I found that the turn initiation was pretty quick. And I think with a good pair of boots, I think the turn initiation would be really good. And I still had no problem weaving in and out of the trees. And I think with a boot that could handle the toe side turn better, I would have no problem getting in and out of there. I would say it was kind of like, with these boots, it was kind of like medium quick, but I think with good boots, with good turn initiation, it would be medium quick for sure. And I maybe even, you know, medium, maybe even bordering on fast. But I found it was a really fun board to dart in and out of the trees. One thing, as I checked in the shop, the setback on board, they have slam back inserts. So it's, you know, they have a normal 6-pack, and then they have 2 extra, an inch and a half back. So it looks like this instead of this. Like normally there's a row every like 3/4 of an inch, but this one's slammed all the way back. And with a 21.5-inch stance width and slammed all the way back, you're looking at 11.5 inches back on board for a 151. That's just nuts. I mean, that's just ridiculous. That is so far back on board. And you don't feel it. Like, I'm pretty far back on board right now. You can kind of see where my bindings are. And it doesn't feel tail light. And I think even all the way back would be fine. And it's a very surfy, very carvy ride that I think a lot of people could appreciate. So far, this was my favorite out of all the United Shapes. All the 2 I tried. I felt like the Deep Reach was just missing something when it came to the flex. It was just a little too soft personally for me. But I see how other people could like that. Where with this, I feel like, you know, I feel like this was just the right kind of flex for what I wanted. It could hammer through uneven snow well. It could turn through uneven snow. It didn't feel like it was too aggressive, like it didn't pass the chatter up into you, so it felt damp enough. You know, it carved really fun. It held a pretty good edge. It's like kind of bordering on, you know, it holds in hard snow well. We hit some ice patches, and it held. Where my buddy Juan, who I'm riding with, was on a Capita Spring Break slush slasher, and that just slid right out from underneath him. And he slid away where I actually barely held an edge. But it's not a board that can excel in hard snow, but it can hold its edge as long as you're not committing too hard to that edge. So that's good. So, you know, I'd rate this as a hard snow board, but it's not a hard snow board that could excel. And in ice, it's going to be pretty tough. But, you know, and I say like when an ice patch, I really mean like a snow mint patch. It's more like kind of porous cement that you can get an edge into. It's not like that ice where it's just like bulletproof. So that's kind of what I meant by ice. I'm just spoiled riding West Coast that we don't see ice as much as many other people. So all in all, the United States Orbit, I love the look, I love the feel, I love the all black base with just a little United Shapes right there, so it's very easy to repair with black P-Tex. And I just feel this is the kind of board that I think a lot of people who are looking for like a powder free ride board, a powder board, this is definitely a powder board first, but it's such a strong free ride board second that it's highly recommendable. And you can go out on this if you're a surfer or you like that surfy style. You can go out on this and you can ride this on a powder day and just maybe change the stance from the slam backs on the powder day, move it up a little more, and go out and just fucking carve the hell out of groomers. This is a fun board to turn, and even with the soft ass kind of like, I'm kind of depressed, all I had was my Sambas today, all these Sambas, because I would have really loved to have been in my tactical ADVs. This would have really just completed my day. But still, great time, great board, and highly recommendable. There you have it, the United Shapes Orbit.